Insane DCEU news. Warner Brothers is apparently in the early stages of developing a Justice League Rebirth movie, and it might explain a whole bunch of the other stuff we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. Holy shit. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button and let's get right into this. I do want to remind everybody that tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on our live streaming channel, we're talking about the DC multiverse. I also have another DC video dropping today about the John Constantine and Zatanna news. I was literally editing that video when this news dropped over at DCEU Mythic. Jeremy Conrad reports that in early stages of development, Justice League Rebirth is being developed over at Warner Brothers. And yes, I know that's not how you correctly say that. It's just, I don't know what to do. It's too crazy. The news is insane. So let's read right from the article over on DCEU Mythic, and then we will break down why I am absolutely geeking out about this. It says right here, while fans are excited to see Zack Snyder's Justice League sometime in 2021 on HBO Max, Warner is looking forward to the future of the iconic team, and it appears they have huge plans to bring the Super Friends back to the big screen. I've learned today that Warner Brothers has begun development on Justice League Rebirth, a film which is separate from the Snyder Cut and not a continuation of that Justice League story. This movie is live action and it is not animated. It's all very early, but it wouldn't be surprising at all if they were to approach someone like J.J. Abrams to direct due to his overall deal at Warner Brothers, his stature, and Bad Robot's involvement in other DC projects, and they might even be interested in someone like Christina Hobson to write it. She's already involved with the Birds of Prey, Batgirl, and The Flash, which is said to be a Flashpoint-like soft reboot. If something like this were to happen, it would position J.J. Abrams and Christina Hobson as being DC's version of Kevin Feige, where they would have a plan for the future of the DC film universe and execute it. Okay, this is an absolutely insane scoop. Now, some of the stuff up there with Jeremy talking about how J.J. Abrams would be like the Kevin Feige of the DCE universe with Hobson or whatever, I actually totally disagree with Jeremy there, but all the credit in the world to Jeremy for grabbing this scoop. Many of us have been saying there's gotta be some big thing they're working towards. The plans have to have changed. We prior heard that Warner Brothers' new strategy with DC films was to focus on the singular. They were gonna focus on the small movies, and there was not going to be another Justice League movie for a long time. This scoop by Jeremy is a huge freaking deal, so hats off to Jeremy for getting this info, being the first to break this. Kudos to you, brother, for real. However, I don't buy the thing with J.J. Abrams being the Kevin Feige to the DCEU, because what I'm seeing personally with all of this DC news is that Warner Brothers isn't really interested in having a Kevin Feige. They might have a bunch of Kevin Feiges that formulate some kind of council of Feiges. Holy crap, this video's getting real weird. But essentially, the idea of the multiverse allows them to actually have separate universes where different creative talent can forge the stories forward. So Matt Reeves' The Batman universe is going to be its own thing, not connected to the DCEU. I think the Snyder Cut universe will continue to exist and live over on HBO Max, and I personally believe that Ben Affleck has signed a contract and he will be showing up in future projects with Zack and that crew over there on HBO Max. The Justice League Dark stuff, which I am breaking down in a video which will now come out later today about, but I essentially believe that a lot of that stuff will just be J.J. Abrams creating his own stuff in a separate continuity that will be, you know, unique and connected through the multiverse with these other things, but they're no longer going to be as focused on a single universe canon in the way that the MCU is, and I actually think this is such a brilliant idea. They can actually use Marvel's greatest strength, and that is their very stringent and well-conceived canon against them. So we won't be able to go see a ton of different movies with different Iron Man, you know, with different Doctor Stranges and different things like that, but DC has that ability. They now have the ability to tell all sorts of different stories. Have a Batman over here, a Batman over here, a Superman over here, a Superman over there. It's insane. Now, as far as Justice League Rebirth, what an interesting concept. Could this possibly be a way to set up a new Justice League for their live action movies in the theaters moving forward? Right now, a lot of the stuff that we've been hearing, particularly with something like the Keaton in the Flashpoint scoop, they're trying to reset things, right? Flashpoint Flashpoint created the New 52, which was sort of a big retconning of the canon. A new Justice League happened after that. But then later on, Rebirth was another such reset. And actually, Rebirth, which is just really weird, and I don't want to get too nerdy on this video, but essentially Rebirth explained that what we thought created the Flashpoint paradox was actually not Flash. It might have been Dr. Manhattan. Now, before we get too far into those nerdy weeds, like, I just want to say that this idea of a Justice League Rebirth, to me, is sort of an example of them allowing themselves to have some time where they start putting things back together, and then a Justice League Rebirth would be bringing in all of the different members from across all the live action versions that they like, sticking them together on the silver screen for DC fans and saying, this is our new Justice League in Earth Prime, or in Timeline Prime, in the movie theaters. And if they're going to do a Justice League Prime, I don't know how you could do that without heading towards some kind of a Crisis level event. Crisis could be the way to tie all of these different things together and create a crossover that's incredibly ambitious and arguably bigger than even Infinity War and Endgame in a lot of different ways. We see these pieces starting to be pulled together by DC. Is Justice League Rebirth the team that will ultimately defeat whatever the Crisis threat ends up being? Is that going to be something that they plan? We have no idea. We're just speculating here, but Justice League Rebirth is a movie being developed at Warner Brothers. The biggest thing that this means is that Warner Brothers is committed to telling Zack Snyder's stories of Justice League over on HBO Max, but they are doing a completely different Justice League in a film that they are developing, and they are developing it in the wake of all of this crazy multiverse stuff that they are doing. This is epic, a big sign of dope things to come for DC. I'm personally through the fucking moon about this, but I want to know what you think about this, so let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And now let's shout out Sean Merchant. Yes, indeed, Mark Hamill unfortunately did not know what Ahsoka was on Twitter. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know what DC comic book writer penned both Rebirth and Flashpoint in DC Comics. Answer that question in the comments section below. A real quick reminder that this Wednesday, July 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the next round of our epic trivia contest, the Nerd Card Showdown, goes down. It's a really cool show. You should be there. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.